everyone, I'm Caroline and today I'm going to use some of the things that I bought when I was in France and I was shopping in the Brocantes. This is what they look like now. They're going to look nothing like this by the end, so keep watching. It's amazing what I'm going to turn these into, but I needed one more component. So I went to the charity shop and I found this. It's some licorice all sorts and it cost me 50p. No licorice all sorts left. Oh well. First thing I need to do is sort out this licorice all sort tub. It is not the way I want it to be. So I'm going to take the price sticker off. Open up the tin and check how to remove this handle. Well, that was much more difficult than I thought it would be, but it's off now. Pop the lid on and we're ready to go. I'm going to cover this tin with some chambray. I really fancied the light blue colour to go with this project. Let's get this tin covered with this chambray. To make a quick hem, to stop it fraying unless you want it to look frayed, a run of glue along the edge, fold it over and you've got yourself a hem that looks like you spent ages hand sewing it and you haven't. So the next job is to cover the tin with the chambray. I want to leave this about an inch below the level of the bottom of the tin. And then out with the glue gun and glue it all in place. And then fold in the top just to neaten the edge a bit. You don't have to worry about being neat on this part because it won't be seen. Any ideas yet? I've got out this basket and you can see it's rather tatty, but it's not tatty in a good way. I think it could do with a little coat. So I'm going to put, not a thick coat, a sort of semi-dry brush coat of chalk paint over the top. Now I've had to pour out some chalk paint to make into another colour because I need some yellow. So what I do is I pour the chalk paint out first. And then, rather than waste all the paint that's around the lid by just washing it off, I use that to paint whatever I'm painting. By dry brushing this, it just takes away that sort of yellow, dingy look to the white. It was like a white gloss and it didn't look pleasant at all. I think that looks much better now. So I'll pop this down to dry. And the next thing I show you is probably the biggest hint so far as to what I'm making. I found these wellies in the charity shop for £1. And they're green, which is a lovely colour, but I want my wellies to be yellow. Oh, there's my Mr. again. I didn't have any yellow chalk paint, so I've mixed up white chalk paint with some yellow acrylic. And I put a dab of orange in there too, because it was just taking so much yellow. I've given these wellies a wipe over with a cloth because they were rather grubby. I think they'd been in someone's kitchen. And now I just need to paint these with a couple of coats and we should be ready to go to the next stage. So that's my wellies all painted. I'll pop those down to dry and we'll get on with the next section. For the next part I'm going to use this doll. She's not to my taste, so I'm going to use her for spare body parts. So if I cut the basket off, there, that needs a little bit of work. It's got all this polyfill sticking out of the top, so I'll sort that out. And I want her arms. So let's see how the construction is on this. Right, so she's a body with a head sewn on, but the arms are not attached. So I can just snip these across the top of the dress. There's one. Don't worry, Dolly has been fully anaesthetised. She's fine. Two. So now I've got two rather nice hands and arms. But they're not going to go with this project, so I need to get some blue fabric on them. And again, I'm going to be using my glue gun. 2 pieces of fabric, 2 arms. So we'll start off with putting a hem on the bottom of each. I'm going to wrap the excess around and glue it. It'll just make the top of the arm a little bit firmer, and I think I'll stick a bit of glue in there as well. So now pop a layer of glue around the wrist and then glue on your piece of fabric. Glue the fold closed on the back and then cut out a little section just to reduce the bulk. And then I'm going to hot glue just a little bit of a fold there and then put a hem on the top. And there we've got one arm. And then just do the same exactly with the other one. So now I'm getting the tin back out, but I'm going to put it on this little basket for now because I don't want the bottom all creasing up too much. So decide where the back is, and then we're going to attach the arms coming round to the front. I'm sure you're getting there now with the guesses of what this is. So we'll hot glue this arm in place. Making sure it's coming round the front. And then put the other arm on the opposite side. Now I'm going to be using this basket, so just to get a measurement, I want the hands holding the basket, so about there. I trimmed this piece of fur to the right length to go around the back and look like hair. So I want to make sure I've got enough. Yep, that should be fine. Trim it to size and check the direction because that hair was running up, which isn't a good look. There we go, that's better. And now just glue this to the top of the tin. A few people have asked me about this little Ladybird vacuum cleaner, so I'll leave a comment in the description below to my link over on Amazon. To shape this rounded a little bit over the arms. Well, that is some hair. Now we need a beard. I'm sure you've guessed by now what it is I'm making. So checking again the way the fabric runs. You want the fur coming down like that. I love the pattern on this. I think it's going to make a really cool beard. Well, I've always got a messy glue gun. I've got a hairy messy glue gun now. Look at that. So now it's time to make a nose. I've cut a very rough circle and I've just got a sewing needle with some thread in, and I'm just going to do very big running stitches all around the edge. In the last video I put out, I showed you how to make strawberries using roughly this method. It's so easy. It doesn't feel like sewing. It just feels like a little bit of fun. You haven't got to be that accurate. As long as you can thread a needle, then it's not too bad a job. You just go right the way around with very large, probably uneven if you're rushing like me, what they call running stitch. A lot of gnomes that are made have got beads for noses, but I just fancy putting something a little bit different, and by using fabric I can make this any colour I want to. Pop your filling in. Keep pushing it in as you pull on your thread. And pushing the fabric in, and then check out your nose for size. Oh yes, I think that's going to be a perfect size nose. Now keeping your cotton really taut, find a little bit that's sticking up nice and convenient, and just do a few stitches over and over just to seal your thread, like that. And if you're like me, you've ended up with a loop, then what I tend to do is ignore it because it's all going to be glued into place anyway. And then through we go to the front. Pull it slightly taut and squash the nose. Snip it close but not too close that you cut the fabric. And the end magically disappears. And there we got a nose. Now we'll also need, on our little gnome, we'll need a moustache. Because he's got his beard but he hasn't got a moustache. Glue that into place. And then poke the nose on the top and glue that into place. I'm just going to empty this basket out because it needs some sort of sorting, doesn't it? And I'm going to give it a little dry brush. And I think I'll probably give it quite a heavy dry brush to brighten this up and make it go with the white that we painted on the other part of the basketware. I've cut a piece of foam to squash into the bottom of the basket like that, and now I think that's a much better base for putting some florals on. And I've got a few bits and pieces of leaves and things. These are the flowers that actually came out of the basket, so I'm going to use those first along the front. And then just add a few more florals where you think they look cute. So let's see if those wellies are dry yet. So now I'm going to pop the body of my gnome onto the wellies. So make sure I've got a good amount of glue stick there, and I'm going to work really quickly and put glue right the way around before it cools. And then on with the gnome. As you probably guessed by now, this is going to be the hat for my gnome. Now there are going to be a few issues with it because it's a little bit bigger than the size of the tin. So I'm going to stuff the top of the hat so that it doesn't come right down to his wellies. I'm going to use some void fill from Amazon. And now the hat fits perfectly. So I just got to glue this into place, but you can't show you because he's too tall for my camera setup. So I'll glue him into place with the hot glue and then I'll come back to you. So I've added some foam blocks to his head. Now I know it doesn't look very glamorous, but if you're going to use something like this that doesn't come above the nose, you have to put something really to support the hat. Fortunately, it's a solid hat, so it's not going to flop as soon as this stops. Using some hot glue, I am sticking the hands to the basket. He's a very kind gnome bringing you a basket of flowers, look at that. And instead of a bobble on the top of his hat, he's going to have a flower. And now I'm going to add a little bit of rope around the base of the hat. Sorry you can't see, just my setup is far too low. Now I'm going to just glue some of these little tiny sunflowers onto the hat just to brighten it up a little bit. So you can't see a lot of Mr. Gnome, but that doesn't matter because we're going to go have a look, see what he looks like out in my garden. More craft videos that I've made, then I'll put a playlist up there and you can check out some of the other things that I've made. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye.